As long as I've been alive, I've always wanted to be brave. I loved action movies and fantasy books, and I wanted so badly to replicate the courage performed by my favorite heroes and heroines. I've struggled for much of my life to quiet the anxiety that I've been plagued with since I was very young. And I would sit in my room bouncing with nervous energy. I would imagine becoming a CIA agent or a lawyer or a doctor, some way that I could stick up for what I believed in and help other people. As I've gotten older, my understanding of what it means to be brave has become more nuanced and detailed. And as I've matured, I've come to find that to be brave doesn't always mean saving someone from an oncoming bus or standing up to a bully. Sometimes being brave means doing the thing that scares you the most because maybe what you say can help someone else. When I was 19 years old, a sophomore here at Con, I developed a difficult and tricky eating disorder which controlled my life for over a year and a half. And one of the reasons I think my story is important to tell is I fit so many of the eating disorder stereotypes, and still, for many painful months, I managed to slip through the cracks and avoid the care and intervention of the people that I love. Today, on National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, I want to talk about why eating disorders and issues of body dysmorphia are some of our most pressing issues. I want to tell you why my eating disorder developed, how it continued, and why I was able to overcome it. I would like to talk about the realm of body positivity and how an obsession with being white and thin has crippled much of our generation. And lastly, I'd like to tell you what you can do to help. I was a chubbier child, and I loved trying new things to eat. It didn't occur to me that I was any different in size from my friends until a male classmate in 5th grade called me Earthquake because I was so big I made the earth shake. Now trust me, I don't blame this particular boy for the stemming of my eating disorder. Honestly, that's very clever wordplay for the age. But instead, I view this as a time of hyper-awareness when I started to understand that my appearance was different from my close friends. From then on out, I was constantly looking for bodies like mine, ones with soft rolls and wobbly thighs. But I couldn't find them in my classroom where most of my peers were extra small and gap kids. And I couldn't find it on the Disney Channel where actresses were hired based on their willowy nature. And so I began to have this desire for something that I couldn't be, and that was skinny. Through the years, there were different attempts for me to revolutionize my diet or exercise plan, but nothing stuck for dramatic change. It wasn't until I started college and accidentally lost weight that I started to covet an image that had always been unattainable. As my time at Con continued and my general anxiety and depression manifested in ways that I hadn't seen before, an intense focus on my eating and calorie burning became a way that I could micromanage my life, which felt so very out of my control. If you have never had an eating disorder, let me describe to you the general themes. You're always cold, you're always tired, and you were always hungry. My meals were spent slowly chewing the food I had allotted myself and ensuring I thought up an excuse when my friends asked me out to ice cream. As I went deeper into my disorder, I became more and more distant from the people who loved me, which made it very easy for me to hide my sickness for a long time. When people would force food upon me, I would either flush it down the toilet or throw it in the trash. Throughout my whole eating disorder, my body mass index remained in what was considered healthy and normal for my height, despite me losing my period for several months. If you claim intolerances to several food groups, people will start to stop asking why you're eating so little. If you say you are training for a 10K, people will stop asking why you're at the gym for so long. Now, please, this is not to say that my sister, my parents, my close friends didn't say anything to me. They did. But in the end, only I was the person who could want to put in the effort to shed my disease. One day, hungry and tired and so very anxious, I sat on my floor in Branford across from my mirror, and I was forced to realize a sad truth. My whole life, I thought to myself, if I was just skinnier, I would have more friends. The boys I liked would like me back. I would do better in school. And this crippling sadness I feel, it won't be there anymore. But that wasn't true. Being skinnier didn't make me happier. So for the first time, I had to try something else. I am very proud to stand here and say that antidepressants saved my life, both literally, but also I feel for the first time. I don't feel constantly burdened by my rushing thoughts and quickened pulse. I'm able to live in the moment and listen actively and be more present with the people I love the most. I've had a therapist since I was 16, and the work I've done with my clinicians here and at home have made it so my experiences feel validated, and I can self-soothe in times of crisis. As for eating, the summer after my sophomore year, I volunteered at a summer camp for people with disabilities. I'd slowly begun to loosen my guidelines on eating carbs and sugar, but had still managed to remain rigid and picky. When I was lifting and pushing wheelchairs all day, every day, I experienced a type of exhaustion, mental fatigue, and hunger I'd never felt before. And as the staff stocked the snack cabinet full of my favorite foods, like peanut butter and Oreos, I began, for the first time in a long time, to eat with abandon. And it tasted really fucking good. I am lucky. In the depths of my disorder, I didn't become emancipated. My weight didn't drop below 100 pounds. And yet, in a society that values skinny over all else, hiding my hate for my body was so easy for so long. In movies, in film, on Instagram, thinspiration is all we see. There is a marketable image that happiness, joy, and love of life is derived from a small waist. It is a dangerous image that is influential for adolescents. And for someone like me, who always coveted thin and wanted so badly to feel some resemblance of control in my life, regimen and rules were almost too appealing. So how do we save our boys, our girls, all folks? How do we undo generations of toxic socialization that have taught us that beauty means the smallest sized jeans? We have to change our discourse and our media literacy to understand the messages that we absorbed are skewed and favor certain bodies. First, we acknowledge that the narrative we have been given about beauty has centered only around thinness and whiteness. The body positivity movement grew out of fat women, especially Black women, promoting self-love and body acceptance. Many white social media influencers have co-opted body positivity for capitalist gains. Just because someone bends over to reveal skin rolls does not equate authenticity. Many of these figures make money from a culture and business centered on thinness. Furthermore, the millennial generation that loves food porn and food Instagrams only loves it when the eaters are skinny. When we see a thin woman pigging out, we see that as relatable, while we send the message that overweight women eating chips are disgusting and unhealthy. There is no one universal healthy body. There is no one universal healthy body. Fat bodies can be exercised and nourished with kale. Thin bodies can be made only of Rice Krispie treats. The way we process our food is different and not a statement about how fit we are. Fat bodies can have eating disorders. Thin bodies can have eating disorders. All bodies can have eating disorders. It does not discriminate. Second, we have to destigmatize the word fat. When we view fat as an insult, we refuse to acknowledge that fat and beautiful exist in incredible harmony. When we comment on our friends' Instagrams and profile pictures saying how skinny they look, we dictate that their beauty is a product of their size. Third, we have to talk about our bodies with younger people. My body was my shame for the first 19 years of my life. Most adolescent girls will be heavily insecure about their bodies by the age of 13. Let them eat chicken tenders. Let them run outside. Let us refocus health. Health is not what Shape Magazine says is the most effective butt workout this month. Health is eating salad some days and spaghetti others. Health is going to the beach with your friends, even though you'll miss Pilates class. Health is doing movement that feels good for your body and not like a punishment. For me, health has become the pursuit of peace in my mind. Health has become several cookies from the student center and making dinner with my roommates. Health is riding the elliptical very slowly so I can read my emails. My experience is not special or radical. It is an individual story. But I hope that with a face to the struggle, it will be easier to understand how we together can change our discourse about bodies. Let's make it so we are happy with who we are. It is so difficult to speak openly about insecurity. As much as we work to make mental health a relatable topic, it is so upsetting to hear that the people you love once felt hate for themselves. But I thank you for listening, and I ask you to take it one step further. We don't like to talk about unpleasant topics. We don't like confrontation. But when your gut is telling you that your friend is hurting, whether it be from the meals they're skipping, the amount they're drinking, or the hours they're sleeping, you mustn't be afraid to step in and check in. We must be brave, because you can make the difference between struggling in silence and help. When I was younger, I would throw pennies in mall fountains and blow out birthday candles, and I would think to myself, I wish I was thin. I wish I was beautiful. I wish I was more like her. And at 22, it's late, but I think I'd rather be myself. Thank you.